Hi there. Welcome to another installment of YouTube videos by LizardTech. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to bring an ExpressServer instance into your GeoServer architecture. So in essence, what I'm going to be showing is how you can leverage the power of ExpressServer to serve out both imagery and LiDAR and have that work in conjunction with your GeoServer, which will serve both that ExpressServer data as well as other image data and vector data out to your users. So it's really simple. What I have here, what you're seeing on this page, this is the landing page for our LizardTech ExpressServer instance that's open to the public at demo.lizardtech.com. This is a Get Capabilities link. I'm going to need that. I actually copied and pasted that already. So that's the ExpressServer instance we're going to be using. I have a GeoServer instance here running on my virtual machine. What I did, and what you would need to do to add an ExpressServer instance, is to add it as a store, as a data store. So it's really simple. You hit Add New Store, New Data Source, and down here under Vector and Raster Data Sources, you can select WMS and then bring in that capabilities URL. Again, for this instance, it would be found here. You bring it in, you copy that, you paste it here, you give it a source name, a description if you would want, and you save it out. I've actually already done this in the instance of time. I brought in my ExpressServer demo as a source name, demo server instance, and then here's that same capabilities URL. I'd save that out. I've also added some other data here, some shape files, just to show some vector data along with my imagery that'll be running in the background. Serve that out now as a WMS from my GeoServer. So, just to show how that is working and how it performs, I have a copy of QGIS here open. I've got some layers on my layers panel. The vast majority of this, 95% of this, is actually data being served out from my ExpressServer and GeoServer instances combined. So this data, this huge raster mosaic, it's actually part of Florida, is actually being served out from my ExpressServer instance into GeoServer, and the imagery is basically being handled. It's like a pass-through from ExpressServer. But your users have no idea there's an ExpressServer instance running in the background, actually serving up and doing all the heavy lifting for this data. They just see this at GeoServer WMS. And by that I mean, for example, if you actually go to Add WMS, I've added the Get Capabilities URL from my GeoServer running on my virtual machine. That's what I've added here, and I give it a name GeoServer. But when I connect to that, I've got layers here listed for both that vector data and other demo data that's being served out by my GeoServer, but also all of this data that is also being served out by my ExpressServer, both raster and LiDAR. Pretty cool. But again, your users would have no idea that this data, this raster and LiDAR data, is actually coming from an ExpressServer instance running alongside or coming from somewhere else in your architecture. They just see the GeoServer WMS when they connect to it and see it as a layer. And I've already added some of these. I'm actually going to zoom to, let's see here. I'll zoom to this layer, because this layer is a polygon layer that's actually being served with the ExpressServer data. So you can see here's the polygons being toggled on and off. And this raster in the background is part of that big Florida raster mosaic that is being served out by ExpressServer really quickly. The nice benefit of ExpressServer, again, it does all this heavy lifting. It does all the reprojection, tiling, all that kind of stuff with your compressed imagery you're serving out, and the responsiveness of it is pretty remarkable indeed. There's no lag, there's no hiccups, with using it in conjunction with a WMS from GeoServer. It almost acts like just another raster data source. You'd have no idea that ExpressServer is serving this in the background, except for the fact that it's rendering this data pretty darn quickly. We'll go to another example here. So this is a whole mosaic of the island St. Croix. Again, aerial imagery as well. And I've got some vector shapefile, line drawing basically, of an outline of this area, this oil field or oil storage tankers. It doesn't really matter. I think you get the picture. It's panning and zooming super fast. Now you could always, adjust your caching levels. You can do all sorts of stuff to even make greater speed improvements. But this is right out of the box. And this took me literally 30 minutes to set up. And that included actually setting up the catalogs in ExpressServer. Here's an example of LiDAR being displayed. This is coming from ExpressServer. Panning and zooming, super quick. We often get questions about whether or not normal Mr. Sid imagery can also be displayed inside of QGIS, or for pretty much every application we get questions about. I brought in this image here of Boone, North Carolina. This is a mosaic of multiple aerial imagery tiles. It's about, I think it's about 300 megabytes worth. It compressed at 20:1. And you can see, yep, it was successfully brought in, and it successfully loads into QGIS. And from here, you can do all sorts of things with it, obviously. I will say that, again, part of the speed using imagery like this is caching. I mean, there's no pyramiding involved in a Mr. Sid image. It already is pyramided. But I will say that using ExpressServer to actually serve all this imagery, even as a WMS through GeoServer as another WMS feed in an application such as QGIS, the speed at which you get the performance through ExpressServer versus just single imagery tiles coming in that you just bring in as separate files into this application, I think the speed that that ExpressServer serves them out as is fairly remarkable, seeing as it's actually coming from a remote location. So that this is taking me, if let's say I'm zooming over here, while the imagery is fantastic, and granted it's a fairly large image set in size, if you can compare the speed of rendering in the application to the speed of rendering of say this Florida mosaic that again is being served from a remote location as a WMS into GeoServer, served out as another WMS, the speed of rendering, panning, and zooming of this large data set by using ExpressServer really shows the power of ExpressServer as an imagery handling, distribution, sharing platform. Well, this really brings my demonstration to conclusion. I thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions regarding what I'm showing here or about any of our LizardTech solutions, please feel free to contact info @lizardtech.com, or you can email me directly. My name is Jeff Stewart, and you can contact me at jstewart, STEWART, @lizardtech.com. Thanks very much again for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.